Let me hit record. We are gonna get started. I am so excited about tonight. I've gotten to hear this girl share, a couple times. I was trying to think. I think maybe green carpet. I was trying, a couple different events. And I just loved getting to hear her share, and I've never even gotten to hear her full story. So I'm so excited to get to hear her whole story, how she found It Works and everything like that. I asked her today, just so I could post on the team page, what were you doing like before It Works? And she had said, she had an 8-month-old and was a senior in college plus waitressing full time. So her hands were definitely full. So Rachel, thank you for taking the time to share with us tonight, girlfriend.
You're welcome. It's an honor. I've been freaking out all day. Everyone I'm talking to, I'm like, I don't know if I can commit to that. I have a really important Zoom tonight.
Oh no, we're so excited. I know. I was thinking, and I was like, I don't even really know your story. I was trying to even think. Are you in Tiffany's downline, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't sign me though, but she's adopted me.
Okay, so it's somewhere, in Tiffany, because we've had Tiffany on before, and I was trying to even think of, I'm like, I don't even know if I know who's downline right
Yeah.
Yay! Well, thank you, girl. So will you start off and just sort of share, like, how you found It Works, like, how you got started, and maybe, like, your journey up to Diamond, and then we'll have you kind of take us in from Diamond to, where you are now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so it's been a whirlwind, and it's so funny how it's changed over the past 3 years because, for the first 2.5 years, I always would share my story, about before It Works and where I was at before It Works, where I was at, and now, for the past half year, I have to tell my story in a different way because I think what's more important than where I was before It Works is what happened during, because I had climbed to, a little bit of the top, and then I lost it all because life happened, and then I came back from it. So I really like to talk about that. But before It Works,
yep, share it all.
Okay, be careful what you wish for. So it's been a little over 3 years, three years in September, so 3.5-ish. And before It Works, I was 22 years old, and I had one son. My husband and I were high school sweethearts, so we've been together for 8 years, and we got pregnant when we were 20, and that was not part of the plan. But I was a junior in college, going to school for social work. I was a full-time waitress. He was a manager at a call center, and we were just literally the definition of young parents, living paycheck to paycheck, government assistance, not seeing each other, fighting because we're not seeing each other, relying on other people to raise our kid. And I had tried another network marketing company fresh out of high school, and I still don't know why. It was really weird. And I try not to name drop, but it was more so for, I would think, the older market. And I don't know what made me join, but I joined, and I lost money and I lost time. And so in my mindset was they're all the same. I'm not a salesperson. It's just not for me. So I was never looking for It Works, but I did see one person. It was so new in the area 3 years ago, and there was only one person on my social media posting about it. And it was just this old person from high school. We were not friends at all. I just kept seeing it. And so I wanted to try the wrap, and it was around my birthday, and my sister always gives me $25 for my birthday. And so I just had her contact the girl. She bought a wrap for me, and my results were so good that the girl tried getting me as a customer for the wraps right away. And so I remember her telling me how much it was and stuff, and I'm just having reality hit me in the face again, damn, sorry, this is really what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I can't even buy myself wraps this. I can't ever splurge, and it sounds so silly, but I'm just I felt embarrassed because I'm here I am. I wasted this freaking girl's time, and I just told her I couldn't. And when I expressed that I couldn't, she started talking about the business, and we ended up talking for 2 hours, back and forth. I just drilled her with questions. It's funny because I'm not even close to being green, but I acted like a green with all the questions I was asking her. And she told me how much it was, and she was still so new, so she didn't even really give me that much, but she gave me enough to where I was had that feeling in my stomach where I'm like, this is going to be different than the other company. And I feel like I could at least make a couple $100 a month. And so I remember texting Zach, and I just knew it was going to be an argument because we didn't have the money in our account, but I knew we had a credit card left. And so we like bickered back and forth. And I'm someone that like, he just really loves me and I know how to get my way. So we kept going back and forth. And I finally remember getting to a point where I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. So just give me your blessing. Please make it easy. And so he told me that like if I sucked, I sucked, but I had to at least make that $100 back. And so my son, Carter, he was 8 months old at the time. And so I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom at 22. He was 8 months, so he wasn't doing anything cool. Like I'm just like, what would I do at home with one kid? Like it would be boring. And so when I joined, Carter wasn't even a part of my why. Yeah, I wanted to be off of food stamps and stop living paycheck to paycheck, but I wanted to prove to Zach, like I could do more than just make that $100 back. And so when I joined, I had the opportunity to get the diamond bonus in 3 months. And I remember going to that girl's house that enrolled me. She's not in the business anymore, but I went to her house the next day and I remember her just pouring everything. Like she did the definition of word vomiting. And I remember just trying to take it all in and I'm like, and she asked if I had any questions. I said no. And I remember just crying my whole way home because I'm like, I bit off more than I can chew. Zach was right. Like, I can't do this. This is just so overwhelming. I'm in school. I'm a mom. And I just made up every excuse in the book. But obviously, by the time I got home, I talked myself off the ledge. And I just knew I needed a plan because I was so busy. And if I was going to make something crazy like Diamond in 3 months happen, I needed a plan. And no one told me what that plan was. I just kind of pulled it out of my butt myself. And my plan was if I go Ruby my first month, I can go Emerald my second, and then I can go spend that third month going Diamond and get that bonus. And so I remember I took off and I just went crazy on social media. And then I went executive my first month, and I was so salty about it. But I just turned it up a notch the second month, and I skipped Ruby and I went Emerald. So I was back on track, and I went Diamond my third month, and we got that bonus. And I remember getting that bonus in January of 2015, and our check was like $1,690, and we're 22. Like I'm still in college, and we were just like, that's so much money, and we were just excited. And I kept that momentum, and conference fell on my son's first birthday, and no one told me the importance of conference, so I skipped it. And I tell people this, and people like judge me for it, but if I would have known what conference is like, I would have put my son's first birthday like maybe the next weekend, but no one told me. So I remember like he did the double good bonuses for the first time, and it was so crazy. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go double and you're gonna go Diamond. And so we boxed ourselves for that our fourth month, and then that fifth month in February, we promoted. And so that was $60,000 in bonuses. And what's crazy is we promoted on February 28th. He was the diamond to my double. And we moved into this house the same day. We had to be out of our apartment. It was going up like $250 in rent, and it was going to be like $900. And we're like, we can just buy a house and like run with It Works. So we promoted in the morning, moved into this house the same day. And the next day we both were like, let's just not go back to work. And we did it at the same time, and people thought we were so crazy. I remember still posting that, and I was like erasing and then typing, and I'm like, people are gonna judge us. And I was so scared, but we just ran with it. And so we were boxed for triple that next month, which would then 6 months in. And before I knew it, business happened. And like one person after another quit. Like it started with his diamond leg, Zach's diamond to his double. And I'm like, it happened so fast. And I remember just being so devastated because I ran so fast that nobody told me about quitters, because I didn't even have that thought in my mind. And why would someone talk about that to someone that's running? Like it doesn't have to worry about it. And so I remember being so naive about like, I have the mindset of a lifer, so everybody that joins me is going to have the same because I'm their leader. And so when they all quit, I'm like, trying to figure out, was it me? Like, what does this mean now? Like, do I have to like start over? And so it ended up taking me a year to rebuild to triple diamond. And I just had a solid double for that whole year. And we made good money, like anywhere from 6,000 to 9,000 every month. And we were just living the dream. And then, so a year after I went triple diamond in March, and it was my last month to get the double good again. So I got 50,000, and life was awesome. And it was the hardest promotion ever out of all 4 promotions. It was so hard. I was sick. I was psycho. I was the worst mom, but I went triple diamond. And I remember getting that first check, and it was $13,000. And I remember we were like over the moon excited, and we're like, it paid off, like all that craziness, because we fought and it was crazy. But then right after we found out that that was our check, I found out I was pregnant, and we'd been trying for 6 months. So it wasn't like a surprise, but I was like, yay, we're pregnant. And we found out it was going to be another boy. So I was excited because I had had one boy that I knew that this would be a breeze, because I had a pregnancy with a boy before, and it was great. And it wasn't. And it was so horrible. And it was so, I was sick every day. And I was convinced that it was a girl the whole pregnancy. That's how different it was. And so I remember, trying to keep my pregnancy a secret, until you're out of the woods. And I'm just getting so sick every day, to where that next month and a half-ish after I went triple was the first month in my business that I really took a break on being like on It Works. I always worked my butt off, but I slowed down a lot because I just was not feeling it. I was feeling so drained with this pregnancy. And I remember we were at the zoo and prelims posted. It would have been our second triple check. And I remember being so scared. And it was one of the few times in this business that I didn't run and check my prelims right away. I was just like, babe, let's just finish our day. We'll check in the car. We already know it's probably going to go below 5 figures. And I'm just like mentally preparing myself for the horrible month I had. And we get in the car and I log in, and it was presidential pay. We got a $2,000, like a $2,500 raise. And I'm just like, this like has to be wrong. And we sat there like speechless. And I wish looking back now that I took that as like God, like warning me kind of, but I took it as like, okay, so this is really what residual income is. I don't really have to work that hard, and my check's going to be great, and maybe I'll keep getting raises. Who knows? But I've worked so hard to get here, and I can just chill. And so I just kept getting sick until almost out of my second trimester. And so I just kept on slowly, like, It Works was kind of in my rear view mirror, and I was driving like slower than faster. And my check just started dropping. And then I remember in August of 2016, it was halfway through the month, and we did everything we could to maintain triple for a couple months, like the last day of the month, and we're pulling strings everywhere we can, and it was like pure chaos. And so August happened, and my husband sat me down and was like, because I'm crazy, but like I loved It Works so much. He probably was so scared, but he sat me down and he was like, I need you to wrap your head around the fact that you're going to lose your promotion this month. And it wasn't even a thing where if I would have turned it up, it would have come back. Like I knew I was going to lose it. I was so far with volume. I hadn't worked and brought in someone and whoever, like who knows how long. And so I'm just like, okay, cool. So I lost it. And I woke up that next month and I'm like, feeling it like, oh, I'm a double diamond. Like I lost my bonus. I lost everything I worked so hard for. And I was so angry. I was so mad at Zach. I was mad at the company. I'm like, why does this have to be so hard? Like I'm pregnant. I was mad at my team. I blamed them. And lastly, as horrible as it sounds, I was so angry that I was even pregnant. And I couldn't even enjoy my pregnancy, it felt like, because I'm like, all of this is to blame. And now like something that I worked so hard for was ripped from underneath me. And I don't even know what I was so dramatic. Like, what's my purpose? And so I maintained double, and I just, was just getting on by. And I was feeling like on the verge of depression, like not myself. And I'm just like over being pregnant, over everything. And then I had my son in November, the end of 2016. And that same month, everything was just so crazy that I didn't even realize that I was going to lose double. And I did. And at that point, honestly, I was so caught up in bringing my son home and everything that I don't even remember like being upset about losing double. I think I just saw it coming. And so after fighting with my husband for like 3 months, I let him start job searching in December of 2016. And I'm just like, whatever, like this is how it's going to have to be because I just sucked, I guess. And so being paid as a diamond, our check went from being paid as a high triple diamond, making $16,000 to $2,500. And it was barely covering our bills. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to pay for Christmas. And Zach's wanting to not pay for Christmas and just like not get presents for anyone. And I'm like, we have to still maintain this like show that we're triple diamonds. Like I'm not trying to show Facebook that I'm not maintaining. I'm not trying to show our parents that we're struggling. And so I remember, and it was the lowest point in my business. And this is what really turned it around for me. It was the end of the year and we got all of our credit cards out of our desk and I remember standing up and Zach was sitting in the seat and he was just calling every credit card. Okay, we have this much on Walmart. We have this much on this. And we just started adding it up. And then I remember making a detailed list for Christmas and we started shopping in all these places. And it was just so mortifying. Like 2.5 years in the business, lifetime rank of triple diamond. And here I am like at Kohl's making sure that like these 3 outfits are not going to go over our limit on our credit card. Like, oh my gosh, it just made me feel so disgusted. And I remember having a talk with Zach and we were arguing because I was so bitter. Like our son Eli was so hard as a baby. He cried like every day for the first 7 months. He had so many issues. And I remember being so salty that Zach got to leave for work every day and he was going to get it easy. And here I am trying to be a single mom of 2 basically and try to get my business back. And I remember being so sassy and I was like, maybe I should be the one to get the job. Maybe I should just get a job too and we can put him in daycare. And he was like, maybe you should. And I was like, oh, like I thought you were going to talk me off here. And so I just remember praying and praying and praying like, God, if this is not for me, because I got so low and I'm like, I don't even know how to post. My team probably hates me. Like, what do I even do if I want to start over? And so I just would pray and pray. If it's not for me, Lord, just shut the door in my face, like slam it. So at least I know. And if that's the case, then I'll get another job and like, it'll be fine. But I need to know what my plan is. And nothing crazy happened, but he never slammed the door in my face. So I took that as a sign as it's just time to get your act together. And I just started over. And so long story short, I told you I would ramble, but long story short, I literally started over. I got a blank diamond chart out. I could barely fill out half. I ended up making a video of myself talking for like 25 minutes and I sent it to everybody on my tree viewer outside of my strong leg. And I was just crying because I never told anyone about my rank loss twice. I never told anybody about how hard my pregnancy was. For all they knew, I just stopped it when it worked because whatever. So I just remember just being honest with them. Like, I'm so sorry guys, but like, I'm ready. I'm so ready to go into 2017 with you. And I need to know if you're in or you're out. And so the small amount of people, less than 10 that told me I'm in, like, let's go, I put them in a chat. And I just remember taking myself off a pedestal that I didn't know I was even on. And I just was so open with them. Like, guys, I might be maintaining a different rank than you that's higher, but I can barely cover my bills and I need you guys. And I am just as new at this point as you guys. So let's do it together. All of those people, the less than 10 people that told me they were in it, they were all paid as a distributor. So it's funny because I'll talk to some people like diamonds and above that are like, but I don't even have a lot of people. I didn't either. I might have had 9 or 10 people say they were in it, but being paid as a distributor, we were essentially all new kind of. So we were just going together and we just started over. And I worked so hard in January and I just had that fresh start of like, I need to get it together or I'm really gonna have to go back to work. And my boys are going to have to be raised by someone else. And I know I might've used that as like fire when we were arguing, but that's something that I deeply don't want. And so I remember giving myself a $500 raise. We were at conference of 2017. I was at conference by myself because my husband was back at work, which I cried a lot because I was so sad. But I got like a $500 raise and I was so happy. But then I remember calling Zach and he was like, yes, like we're going somewhere, like so happy you're getting it back. But I was frustrated because I'm like, just a $500 raise, babe? Like, kind of feel like I worked harder than that. And I remember him telling me, you know, like, don't be greedy, essentially. Like, he reminded me of the fact of how long I took off, right? How long I took off working. And he was just like, you took so long not working. You have to double it, maybe triple the amount back on to start seeing that paycheck again. Why do you think that because it's been 30 days of work that you're going to start making $13,000, $16,000 again? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I kept going. And in February, that next month, I re-maintained double. And then in March, I re-maintained triple. And then April 1st came along and I'm like, okay, it's my last month to get the 50,000. I was 9 people away from Prez and Zach told me to count up my volume and I was over 10,000 in volume. And I'm like, well, babe, I'm going to go presidential this month. And I just remember him cheering me on, but it was so obvious that he thought that Prez was still so far away because of how far I was. And I just worked so freaking hard every hour of the day. I worked so hard that by like day 6, I remember going to bed and it was like 12 and I told Zach, like, babe, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this month because I've worked so hard this first week that I feel like I've put in enough work for like 2 months. And this month seems so long already. I don't know how I'm going to make it. But I just kept going and I kept going. And I did end up promoting to presidential that month. And I ended up giving myself a $17,000 raise from January to April. And that next month was the first month, I think it was the only month in history that prelims posted on the 5th. And it was at the Michigan boot camp. And I was with Tiffany and Megan McLeod, and everyone started saying prelims. And I thought they were joking because I was so excited to see my first press check. And so pause real quick. I have a white board in my office that I've had since 5 months into the business. And since 5 months in, when I went double, I had $20,000 monthly written on there, because that, to me, that was like, if I ever do that, like, I'm a black diamond. Like, that was so out of reach for me that was my goal. And so we log into eSuite and they're all hovering over me, and all I see is 20 and then a comma. And oh my gosh, that, like, just the celebration in the moment. And then right, like 5 seconds later, Mike and Pam, they all walk around the corner, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this can't get any better. And we were just all so excited. And then that night they released the numbers, the top 150. And I remember being like, there's no way, but like, I couldn't even control myself. I had to log in and look, and in big black letters, it said 140. And I cried harder that I made a scene. I literally just dropped down and I just could not stop crying. That was bigger to me than my $20,000 check, because I don't know what it was, but something hit me and I'm like, it all makes sense. Like, this is what hard work is. This is what a comeback is. I can do anything I put my mind to, and I'm somebody. Like, I just felt so good, and I never stopped. Okay, so this is what's really crazy is I went presidential in 2017, April of 2017, and from that moment on is when I first started doing self-development. Crazy. I never thought that I was like bigger than self-development, but my mindset, being naive, I'm like, if I love this business and I'm working hard, I don't have to read a book to tell me that. And so I never did self-development. And so self-development last year, really, really changed a lot for me. And I always tell people when I'm explaining like my comeback and whatnot, just because we're making awesome money and we're so close to being debt-free and life is so good, does not mean, like, I've woken up on so many days since April 27th of 2017 under attack, like feeling more under attack than I've ever felt. Like, it doesn't mean I haven't had hardships, but I've been so different because of the calmness self-development has given me, and life has just been good, and we've just been building and rebuilding. When the $10 kits came out, I was like 19 from Ambassador. I'm pretty far now, but I just finally threw away Ambassador. I remember I had it blown up so big, and I'm just like, I just need to pump the brakes and just work with those that want it, and it's going to happen when it happens, and I'm just excited. And so that is my journey from before to where I'm at now.
I love that. So neat, Rachel. And I think what's so cool is, like, it kind of shows, like, no matter where you are in this business, you know, when you've got those goals, when you make a decision, you know, you decided early on, you joined, you're like, I'm going diamond in 3 months. So what did you do? You had confidence, you know, you were determined, you went diamond in 3 months, got the bonus, you know, and then it's like, okay, you know, you didn't go to conference. And I think that probably would have, because actually our timeline's pretty similar, like we joined around the same time. And I remember going to conference, not really even knowing why, like barely double diamond, but it was literally conference. So you guys, if you're on here, the people that are on here, I'm telling you, what took me from conference to that May presidential, or from conference in January to that May presidential, was literally conference. So from double diamond to presidential, whatever, that's what my timeline was. But I know it was that event and just getting that, you know, vision. But anyways, I love that. So it was like, you know, you did it and then life happened. So sometimes life can be, you know, somebody under you quits, or sometimes it can be, you know, you have a death, or, you know, you just get off track, because it is hard when you run your own business. You're not clocking in. So like, had Rachel gone to a job just because she was like pregnant and sick, or just because something happened, she couldn't have not showed up to her job. But we kind of have that luxury as business owners. So it's like a double-edged thing, because like, we don't have to show up, but then what happens when we don't? You know, things might stay okay. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, haven't enrolled in anyone in 7 months. You know, why is my check dropping? But then she decided, no, I'm going to do this. And she not only rebuilt, but then took it, and promoted. And it's kind of crazy if you think that she's like, went from, what was your lowest pay? Did you say, drop down to diamond or below?
Diamond it was 2,500, which is good money. But like I tell my team, like when you're making good money and you're not taught about finances, in the beginning, you start to spend that kind of money and your bills go up. And not for everybody, but for us, we were kind of young and dumb. So it was hard.
So you went from diamond to top 150 in a matter of months, from just deciding to work with the 9 people, the less people. So if you're on here and you're brand new and maybe you're a distributor or you're a Ruby and you're like, well, I've got 2 people, you lock arms with those 2, and you go, and then you start bringing in new enrollment. So let me talk to you because normally I'll have someone say like, so what did you do to get from where you were to diamond? And you can kind of talk about that, but even from diamond getting back to double, you both, whether you're either, you have to bring in new people. So what did you do to start bringing in people with your business when you first, and even the rebuilding, like how did you do that?
So distributor wise, I remember in January being like, okay, so obviously I need to do something different because something clearly isn't working for me. And so I remember just coming up with groups. Groups is something I've never tried. Like, I know there's mom groups out there. Like, I need to meet new friends. I just felt so stuck in expanding my network and everything that I'm like, I need some new platform. And so I remember just spending just a few nights while I was, rocking my son to sleep and feeding him his bottle. I just remember just browsing and digging deep. Like, where are those good groups that there's not a lot of It Works people? Like, it's hard because you search for groups and the top are the most popular. So if they're the most popular, there's probably a lot of mutuals in there. And so I remember just looking for, boy mom, cool mom, sassy mom, like every mom possible. And so many of them were so buck wild and crazy because moms are crazy. But I started finding a couple good ones. And then I remember something that was so crazy for me, expanding my network and then signing 7 distributors in January, which didn't seem like a lot, but when you haven't signed a distributor in like 5 months, it is. But I remember finding a good boy mom group, and I had a picture of me, Carter, and then Eli right after I had Eli, and it was like my first picture with both my boys, and it was so pretty, and I just it was black and white, and I posted it on that page, that group, and I just had this long spiel of nothing with It Works, and I took some time to make it show that I'm not trying to sell, but I'm trying to make friends, maybe to sell later on, but just friends. And I just remember saying something like, hey guys, new to the group, my name's Rachel, I just had my son, I am a stay-at-home mom, and just lame mom over here, looking for mom application, now accepting mom friend applications, something so cheesy, just showing I'm just a mom at home that needs some friends. And I remember I did that in 2 groups, and I got 200 likes on the picture and comment after comment. And I just added, and I expanded my network so much in January. And then I made sure that I added that mass group of people throughout those couple days. I made sure that during those couple days when I added all of them, that I was as kind of sneaky about It Works as possible, because I just didn't want anyone to think that I was adding them for whatever reason, and I didn't want them to automatically unfriend me. And I just remember being just really lifestyle-y with a little bit of what this opportunity has done, not necessarily It Works, and just super tiptoeing. And then when I shared my story, the first time after having those new friends, it just was literally a new beginning. People were interested. It was literally a new market. And so I was so excited about groups that I started teaching my team, find those dog mom groups, find those whatever, there's a group for everything. This is something that, I
love that.
Something that really did help me, and I don't know if this is good or bad that I'm saying this, it's sneaky. Something that I did is I started searching state groups, Michigan moms or whatever, and only the ones where they accept other states. A lot of them are Michigan town or Michigan state only or whatever. And I remember doing a couple groups, and I was like, oh my gosh, my husband and I are moving in the next 3 years, which is true. We just don't know where. And I remember saying Michigan is one of our top 3. What are the best cities or state or whatever? And that was getting a lot of interaction. And then I was adding them, becoming friends. And I was just signing so many distributors that way. So that was a good way to expand my network for distributors.
I love that. So I've never even, really used groups a whole ton. So that's neat. So it's like you're using groups, just another way to grow your network. I love that. Okay. And then what about do you like to do, for you, is it like your daily things, your non-negotiables? I know everyone calls it different, whether it's like your 6 list or what are kind of your things that are like, these are what I love to do every day? I know there's probably no typical day, but.
Yeah. So what really, I'm not organized at all, but last month for December, I was like, I got a raise in November and December because I was like, I refuse to let my check go down. Like, I'm going to be so good. And so I knew that I needed some kind of plan. And so for the first time in my entire business, I bought this grid paper, and I made this 6 list for myself. And so I remember thinking, like, what do I need to do every day of December? And I'm going to literally mark it down on this grid and like color in the boxes, because who doesn't like to color? And I remember my 6 list, I didn't make one for January, but I remember my 6 list being 10 new Facebook friends every day, 10 new followers on Instagram, 30 minutes of self-development. And then that 1, 2, 3, and then I had 3 people host a post every day, so I needed to find 3 people to host a post. And then there was one other, so it ended up being 4. Okay. And I don't remember. Send 10 messages about the business. So like the host a post, if I had someone post about the cleanse and they had 13 comments and I messaged them all, those didn't count as those 10 messages. The 10 messages had to be about the business. And I remember doing it, and I'm like, this is harder than I thought. Like, oh my gosh. And I had it on paper and I made it like really pretty. And then I had December 1, 2, 3, like all the way to the 31st. And every day I had to fill it out. And I remember holding myself accountable by posting in my team page, and they all made one. And then every day I posted it on the team page. So I try to do that. Now, I've kind of just given up on Instagram. I'm just so bad at it that I don't work Instagram or use that as my daily 6 list. I just make sure I'm doing host a post, follow-ups, sending new messages, and something that I've never stopped doing, even on those times where I wasn't posting or I was sick, I always expanded my network. That's something that's so important to me. So those are the things. And then self-development now is so important to me to do every day. Yeah.
Explain host to post. Like, we've had a couple other people talk about it, and I think, I posted like some examples, but I've never even done it. So explain that.
Okay, so I wasn't going to bring it up until you asked me, because I didn't know. I don't know who's doing it and who's not, or who likes it and who doesn't, but it has been a gold mine for me and my team. And so this is actually what I did in April to GoPrez. I signed 39 customers that month, and then I stopped doing it because I think I just was so worn out from Prez that I just kind of coasted a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we started doing it in January or in November, and I've been in the 20s for customers all 3 months. And then right now I'm actually at 29 customers from it. So this is how simple it is I started off by going through like all my potentials. So I went to Messenger and I just scrolled until I stopped. I think I stopped in like July because it's so long and I was just tired of scrolling. And I came across all those people that were interested in a product but never signed up for whatever reason. And I just messaged them and I said, hey girl, long time no talk. I really wanted to offer you some product for free. And that's all I said. And it's funny how people ignore you, and then you say something like that, and there they are. And so when they messaged me back saying, oh yeah, or like, what is it? I was like, okay, so this is how it would work. I'm just going to give you a post to copy and paste on your page. I'll take care of the rest. If I sign enough people from it, I'll hook you up with a free product of your choice, free. And then I ended with free is free, doesn't hurt to try, because I wanted to like process that, because before I was putting that at the bottom, at the end, people were turning it down. And I'm like, how can you turn down free and the opportunity? So putting in like free is free, and then saying, depending on how many I sign. And sorry, am I frozen?
No, oh. I'm writing it down what you're saying. I don't think you're frozen. Mm-mm.
I just have a delay, but it's okay.
Oh yeah, your words are delayed, but
okay. But you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So putting in free is free, they were saying yes. And so the reason why I made that wording, because it's not something I would normally say. Like, I never ever asked people to put a post on their wall for me because I thought it was kind of desperate. And that was just my personal opinion. I never thought about it that way, doing it a different way. And so by saying based on how many people I signed from it, it's showing that I have to sign people from it. So you can't just throw it up and get free product, because bless this girl's heart, this girl on my team made the mistake of not saying that. She said, all you have to do is throw a post on my wall and you'll get free product. And she made a status and had like 10 people do it. And these people were like going psycho on her. Like, where's my free product? And she was like, I didn't sign anyone from it. And she got herself in a hole. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you poor girl. So make sure you do say that. All you have to do is copy and paste based on who I signed from it. And then the reason I don't say how many people I need to sign is because I did that too in the beginning. And people would be like, oh, no, there's no way you would find 4 people. So like, just don't worry, count me out. I don't have that many people interested. And people were so down on themselves. So I personally, if I sign 4 people from it, they can pick a product out. That's just the number I picked. And then if it's like 1 or 2, I usually just send, like if I only sign 1 or 2 from it, I usually just send them like a free wrap or facial, just kind of as like, thanks. And that's what I do. And so what is so cool about this is you give them the post. I've only done the cleanse. It's what's worked for me. So I just haven't like reinvented the wheel. And I just use the cleanse before and after, and just a small little thing of like, my friend Rachel is looking for 5 product models to use the cleanse. People have been losing anywhere from 2 to 8 pounds on it. And then I even threw in there for some like, I've been transitioning into like the average person can carry up to, because I don't want to get like touchy with claiming weight loss, whatever. So you have to word that in the sense of like, it's not guaranteed kind of thing. So whatever, but I just give it to them and I say, okay, tag me. They copy and paste it. When people comment on it, I add them right away and I comment below and say, hey girl, I messaged you, check your message requests. And then I message them and I have like a text replacement of, hey babe, the cleanse is a 48-hour, just a little spiel about it. And then I send it and then they message me back. And so what's so cool is that I've signed so many customers this way. Not only that, but I'm adding all these people and it's a way of expanding your network. And a lot of them have become distributors. And so some of them, their post will blow up and I'm like, okay girl, like I'm signing the 3rd customer. You realize you could join me and you make money off of this. And I've signed people that way. Or I've added their comments, like the people that comment, this is what really happened a lot in April, and I was so frustrated, even though it was a good thing. I was signing all these customers, and then they were on my Facebook. So then I was talking about going for a $50,000 bonus. I'm going presidential. We're making this kind of money, and all these cleanse customers were like texting me, wanting to become a distributor, and I'm like, no, I need the volume. But I was like, just transitioning them into a distributor. I like 5 of them did that. So it was super cool. And so that's what we did with the follow-ups. And not only that, but we also, like, if someone would comment, because this will happen a lot, you'll message them, they'll say, well, how much is it? And then I just had a little spiel that it was a text replacement. I can sign you up. It's $60, but I'm giving it to people for $36. If you claim one of those 5 spots, we would just sign you up as a loyal customer. And then they ask what a loyal is, and I tell them what that is. But what's crazy is that those people that see that and they're like, oh, I can't afford it, I just turn around and have them post it, the cleanse. So I'm giving, like, it keeps going and going. And before you know it, you're tapping in all these people's markets and I've signed 29 customers. And so it's so crazy.
I love that. That's so
yeah.
awesome. I'm like, okay, I need to do that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are asking when you send us what you have them post. So I'll have you, if you don't mind sending it to me, I'll post it on the page after.
Totally.
But yeah, I love that. So cool. What a neat way. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about, I think, we hear it from multiple speakers, but, expanding your network, offering the product, offering the business. And you noticed when she talked about in December what she did, she said messaging, asking 10 people to do the business. When you ask 10 people to join your team a day, that's 70 people a week, and then you think, what is that? 70 times, John? 74. How much is that a month? That's asking over 280 people to join your team. Even if you miss some days, but when you give yourself, even if it's 5 people, 10 people. I remember when Stacy and when I was going double diamond, doing the whole 3-month, 4-month thing, that was one thing I had was 10 people a day I asked to join my team. And sometimes it was really hard, but it's like, I'm going to find 10. And so I think when we sometimes get in ruts, it's because there's inactivity, and I think Tiffany Patillo talks about inactivity. That's kind of when fear creeps in, but when you're active, that's when do you remember that quote? I'm like, John, why are you watching basketball? We're zooming here. But the point is, you want to be active. You don't want to let inactivity, and you stop. inactivity leads to fear, and activity leads to, that's what I couldn't remember. What's activity lead to? I don't know. It does lead to action, but yeah. If Stacy, activity leads to courage. Okay. Oh, story said courage. There we go. Activity.
There we go.
Love it. But okay, in closing, so what would you say if there's someone on here? Oh, Stacy said, or faith. Courage, faith. Okay. What would you say if there's someone on here and they're like, okay, you know, I want to hit a goal this month. Like I want to hit Ruby, like people going for Ruby, you know, or whatever. They've got a goal. They want to get there. It might seem far. What's something you'd say to those people?
I think that the biggest thing is just, it's starting, and it's so funny because like we say sometimes like people ask for tips and I'm like, oh my gosh, they've probably heard this so many times, but sometimes you just need to hear it one way with like it changed a little different. But the biggest tip I could say is doing something that makes you uncomfortable. And I'm telling you, like, this is so weird, right? But like so many leaders will say that, like, once you get comfortable, you have to get uncomfortable. And that's when you see change. And it's so, so, so true. So whether that is, let's say maybe like health-wise, because that's the most common, people want to be skinny. That is the biggest thing that's made me uncomfortable these past 2 months is I've been overweight since I've had my children. And I remember a couple people being mean to me, like making some remark about like selling weight loss when I'm not even like fit, whatever. And I remember just being like, dang, I really need to do something. And I have all these great products, but I'm not really using them. So I don't promote them the same as someone that would. And from the moment oh my gosh, and I cried all morning, but the moment I put my weight on Facebook and I started holding myself publicly accountable is when not only my business changed because I was signing more customers and people were trusting me, but people were looking up to me. And I would get these messages of people saying, I'm not doing It Works or anything, but like I went to the gym today because you went, and stuff like that. And it's made me such a happier person. So like doing something that makes you uncomfortable, I think the biggest one is starting to become a product of the product and being public. The more public you are and the more uncomfortable, I promise you will do great things with it. Getting people on the phone when they ask what you do, that's something I've been doing this month too. And I get clammy hands and an upset stomach because I hate talking on the phone to strangers, but that's been changing for me. Hosting parties, and then maybe just going live and talking about really what your goal is. You know, that I think is the reason why that was one of the biggest reasons I went Prez in April, because I went live every day. And if you really want to like really creep on my videos, you'll see in April, there's like videos of me with snot flying out of my nose because I cried every day of April because I believed I was going Prez and I was so vulnerable and open with it going live. It's something that made me uncomfortable, but I'm like, okay, I'm helping more people than not. And all these people towards the end of the month were like, I can only afford Confianza, but will this help you with your promotion? And all these people are helping. So, you know, going live and getting uncomfortable. Maybe you have to cry on your live. Like, that's okay. So many of my girls will be like, I stopped my live. Like, I swear, Rachel, I went live today, but I stopped because I started crying. And I'm like, don't stop. And just being public with everything, just getting uncomfortable in general is what's really going to shift your business.
I love that. And I think that's so true because I think, you know, you always hear like people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And I think that's a big thing with just this type of business because we don't have a store. It's social media. So yeah, like we show our highlight reels, but you want to show you're a real person. Like you want to, you know, because that's when people want to, number one, they want products from you and they see, oh, wow, like you're using them. Oh, they've affected you. They've changed you. Yeah. Oh, you're passionate about them or you're sharing testimonies, you know, and then when it comes to wanting to do the business, when they're like, wow, that's a real person. This business is really changing. They're like, you know, okay, wow, you know, just getting more vulnerable because it's easy to just do the copy paste post, but sometimes even when it's uncomfortable, we have to like let down that pride and kind of put more of us in it. But that's really, I mean, what makes people want to say yes to you. I love that. So good. Oh, thank you so much, girlfriend. This was awesome. I didn't scroll through all our questions, but all for sure. I think the majority had to do with, you know, the host, because like, I don't know, I've never even done that. So, but we've had a couple people suggest it. So I think that's awesome. And yeah, you have them post it on their wall, but you give them the picture and the words.
Yep. I make sure that I say, I'll give you one to copy and paste because again, that was something that it was trial and error. And I would tell people like, well, you just put a post on your wall. And they were like, I don't like, that's too hard for me, thinking like they had to make it up for themselves. And they were like, count me out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm screwing this up here. So as long as you say, I'll just give you a copy and paste and throw it up there. It's so simple. Like some people will say no, but for the most part, you're showing them how simple it is. Why would someone say no to that?
Yes. Love that so much. Yay. Thank you guys. And this is recorded.